we want to take the mind to God without any worldly disturbance. And if you don't do it out here, then where will you do it? So don't miss this chance. It's due to missed chances that we were not able to clinch the destiny that was ready for us. We had everything set. We said, we will do it, but not now, later. And that later never came. The years went by, converted into lifetimes. And instead of going closer to the goal, we kept going further and further away. So if we decide that now is the time, this tryst with destiny, and make best use of it, then let me assure you that by God's grace, you will feel for yourself that you are now spiritually healthy. You have cultivated your spirituality and moved way ahead from where you were when you came. So Kripaluji Maharaj here says, O sadhak, do your sadhana. It is only by sadhana that you will get the sadhya. Let's sing these two lines and then move ahead. Sadhana karu, sadhana karu, sadhana karu pyare. Sadhana karu, sadhana karu, sadhana karu pyare. Sadhana karu pyare.
Sadhana karu, sadhana karu, sadhana karu pyare. Sadhana karu, sadhana karu, sadhana karu pyare. Sadhana karu pyare.
साधना ते ही मिले तो ही साध्य हरि रति प्यारे. साधना ते ही मिले तो ही साध्य हरि रति प्यारे. साध्य हरि रति प्यारे.
साधना ते ही मिले तो ही साध्य हरि रति प्यारे. साधना ते ही मिले तो ही साध्य हरि रति प्यारे. साध्य हरि रति प्यारे.
The next 8 lines are about the Guru. We will come to that at the end. Let us move on to line 9 and 10. Now, one by one, Kripaluji Maharaj is going to describe the different aspects of sadhana. So he says, first of all, that this sadhana which you are going to do, in this, the mind is primarily important, not your senses. If this point is not understood, we will do a lot of endeavor without any tangible result. See, that is what happens when the Kumbh Mela took place last year in Haridwar. About 2.5 crore people took bath over the period of a month. And one of the big baths, there were 25 lakh people. Now people come all the way from Kanyakumari, etc. to bathe in the holy Ganga. They put in so much of effort going by train, eating on the platform, staying in dharamshalas, getting bitten by mosquitoes. But you ask them, in this whole endeavor, which took 1 week, for how many minutes did you think of God? That was the vital point. If you forgot that, it was just a physical drill that you were doing. And if your mind was in the Ganga or in God, sitting there in Chennai, you could have taken your holy bath. That is what Manuji Maharaj says. Yamo vai vasvato devo yasta vaishirdistitaha tena ched vivadaste ma ganga ma kurungama. In his Manusmriti, he says that God is everywhere. He is also in your heart. The day you realize that God is inside me, then going to Ganga for a snan or going to Kurukshetra for a pilgrimage doesn't have any significance. Sitting right here, you can get the benefit of Ganga Snan by meditating about it. In other words, in the spiritual realm, our mind is most important. Unless the mind is applied, physical activity will not count. See, there is the story of Vachaspati Mishra. He wrote a bhashya, a commentary on the Vedanta. And he also wrote a commentary on the Mahabharata. So it took him 50 years to write it. Now he was about to complete it. He was sitting in his hut when the lamp under which he was writing got blown off. So it became dark, his work stopped. A woman came and lit it again. His attention got drawn in that direction. He said, "Who are you?" The woman said, "Never mind, you keep doing your work." He said, "You tell me first, who are you?" She said, "You are doing good work, just go on, do it. Why are you interested? Who am I?" He closed his book and he said, "This matter must be clarified first. You came to light my lamp. Who are you?" She said, "I'm your wife." He said, "Really? But when did we get married?" She said, 50 years ago. He said, "What? 50 years ago we got married? But how come I don't know about it?" She said, "How could it register in your mind? Just like you were totally absorbed in it right now, that was exactly your state when you got married. You had the books in your hand, your mind absorbed in your bhashya, and you were taking the circles around the fire. And the years went by, you never paid attention to me." So he said, "Really? But how would you spend your time?" She said that quietly I would come and serve you. I would place the plate in front of you, and then without realizing you would eat it up. And when you would leave the empty plate, I would go and wash it. And I would wash your dirty clothes and bring them. So he said, "Then how were we maintaining ourselves?" She said, "I would go and serve in the houses of the neighbors and earn some money from there. And I would come and ensure that our work continued." So he said, "My God, I can't believe the sacrifice you have made for 50 years. He said, I have written this bhashya, this commentary, but you have made it practical. The wife said, listen, now you don't divert yourself towards me. You have been writing your commentary, you complete it. So he said, but what motivated you to serve me like this? She said, seeing you so absorbed in this manner, I used to feel totally sublime. While other wives are engrossed in mundane activities, bringing up the children, just look at me. I was serving such a noble soul, I felt uplifted myself. Nevertheless, his bhashya was almost completed. He completed that bhashya commentary and he named it after his wife. So the commentary written by Vachaspati Mishra is called the Bhamati Bhashya. Bhamati was his wife's name. Now just look, he was doing all his physical activities, but they were not registering on his mind. Why? His mind was absorbed elsewhere. His mind was in God. His physical activities were not registering at all. He didn't even come to know that he's been married for 50 years. Now this, of course, is an extreme case. But we people, we do the reverse. We engage the body in God and we keep the mind engrossed in the world. That means we are, with the mouth, we are singing the kirtan. Gurudev Sharan mein aayi, Abdul lo mohi apanai. We are singing with our mouth. But in the mind we are thinking, now this has continued for 15 years, how 15 minutes, how about the chai ka pyala pilai and I'll be more joyous? In other words, we engage the body in God, in the divine realm, and we keep the mind in the world. So Kripaluji Maharaj says, this will not do. Understand, when you sit for sadhana, that the mind is of paramount importance. Your goal will be to fix the mind upon God, because the cause of bondage and the cause of liberation is not the body. Whether you had a bath or not had a bath, whether you're clean or not clean, that is not the point. The cause of bondage and liberation is the state of our mind. Chittame vahi sansaras tat prayatne na shodhayet, the Maitreyi Upanishad states. Chetaha khalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam va punsi muktaye. Maharshi Kapil states that if the mind is attached to the world, you are in bondage. If the mind is attached to God, you are liberated. The Western philosopher John Milton had said, the mind is a place of its own, and in itself can make heaven out of hell and hell out of heaven. Sitting in heaven, the mind can make you experience the miseries of hell. Sitting in hell, the mind can make you experience the bliss of heaven. So, in this sadhana, we must focus on taking the mind to God. Let's sing lines 9 and 10. साधना में है प्रमुख मन, इंद्रियां नहीं प्यारे। साधना में है प्रमुख मन, इंद्रियां नहीं प्यारे। इंद्रिया नहीं प्यारे।
साधना में है प्रमुख मन, इंद्रियां नहीं प्यारे। साधना में है प्रमुख मन, इंद्रियां नहीं प्यारे। इंद्रियां नहीं प्यारे।
मोक्ष अरु बंधन का कारण एक मन ही प्यारे। मोक्ष अरु बंधन का कारण एक मन ही प्यारे। एक मन ही प्यारे।
मोक्ष अरु बंधन का कारण एक मन ही प्यारे। मोक्ष अरु बंधन का कारण एक मन ही प्यारे। एक मन ही प्यारे।
Having said that, the next obvious question that arises is, how will we take our mind to God? There are so many theories on the mind that have been presented by thinkers throughout history. There was Sigmund Freud, who's called the father of psychology. He said that this mind is in a state of misery, and that is an irrevocable fact determined by the upbringing and conditioning of the human being. It cannot be eradicated. This was his concept. Then there was Schopenhauer. He said that the mind is swinging in distress. That is a fact of life. You cannot do much about it. Then there was Bertrand Russell. He said the mind does experience misery, but if you engage it in something positive, the misery will reduce. So all you can do is make the best out of a bad bargain and engage it in something positive to reduce the misery. That is a very depressing perspective on the mind. The spiritual perspective is different. God has given this mind for a purpose. If we can know that purpose and engage the mind in that purpose, our work will be done. But in the spiritual side also, lack of understanding makes people adopt ineffective techniques to grapple with the mind. So there are some people who say, absorb the mind in the breath. Just let the mind focus on the breath and it will settle down. Some people say, no, let the focus of your meditation be the Bhru Madhya. Some people say it should be the Nasagra, tip of the nose. Some people say it should be the Mooladhar Chakra at the base of the spine. Others say it should be the Manipurak Chakra. Others say it should be the Agya Chakra. There are so many different techniques adopted by people to grapple with the mind. Now, all these techniques will help you only to a certain extent. They will never give you complete success in conquering the mind. Because the mind is made from Maya, God's material energy. And you people have heard so many times in the lecture, this Maya is God's energy. It is as powerful as God Himself. If somebody can defeat Maya, it means he has defeated God. Can anybody defeat God? No. In the same way, nobody can defeat Maya. The biggest jnanis, yogis, tapasvis, rishis, munis, they will all fail before their mind. Then, what is the solution? Mameva ye prapadyante mayametantaranti te. In order to conquer the mind, you need God's grace. Keep that principle in mind. You need the grace of God. So, to get His grace, you take the mind towards God. Don't meditate on Bhrumadhya and Nasagra and Shunya and your breath. Meditate upon God.